All right, what's going on, y'all? So when it comes to boxing, we already know the deal. Boxing diehard fans are gonna ride with whoever they like at the end of the day to the death. They don't care what they do, what they say, even if they're not giving them the fights and the performances that they want. Even when they're being a diva, whatever, people are gonna always give them a pass. That's just the way fans are, especially in boxing. Okay, the politics supersedes, unfortunately, it supersedes the fights because we normally don't get the fights we want. So we stuck with arguing about the politics, right? Um, so you got some pay-per-views coming or potential pay-per-views coming up. All right, we have Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence. I don't know if it's confirmed whether or not that's going to be pay-per-view or not, but it has potential to be a pay-per-view. Then you have Wilder and Tyson Fury coming up. And we also got Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Broner coming up, which probably, has a lot of potential of being pay-per-view as well. All three of these fights, me personally, I'm not supporting these fights as far as pay-per-view, as far as actually physically buying a pay-per-view here in my home. I'm not going to do it. For two reasons. Well, the main reason overall, pay-per-view is a thing of the past. And boxing is kind of moving on. The market is not really there like that. Okay, pay-per-views are not doing that well, except for the super super major cash cows. Um, Outside of Canelo, Triple G, Floyd when he decides that he wants to fight, Manny Pacquiao, and a couple other people. The pay-per-views ain't really working like that in boxing, and most of the time when we do get a pay-per-view, it's not really like the big fight. Other fighters have done pay-per-views that tried them out. They failed because they just didn't have the star power. Okay. It's a thing of the past. I'm paying a subscription for Showtime, HBO. I'm paying for ESPN Plus now. I'm paying for the Zone. I'm very happy with those subscriptions. I'm happy with the fights that we've gotten off those subscriptions. The Zone is just picking up more fighters, more and more fighters, and we get more and more fights. I find myself every Saturday now, whether I'm working or whether I'm home, watching fights on the Zone or ESPN Plus or even Showtime, whatever fights that's available. I think fans need to make a stand and say, all right, you know what? Why am I paying for this pay-per-view? If the pay-per-views do poor, then we won't continue to get them. Okay? If we can get Joshua versus Povetkin on the Zone for free and then get a fight every weekend, every Friday or Saturday, we get in the World Boxing Super Series fights. We get all this stuff. Why are we going to continue paying for pay-per-view? If we stop paying, they will stop giving. And they will have no choice put to broadcast it on your subscription, whatever you subscribe to. If it's a premium channel or if it's a streaming app, whatever, it puts more pressure on them. So me personally, I'm not going to support the pay-per-view. Now, a pay-per-view that I would absolutely support would have to be a major fight. A major fight with a great card. Okay, UFC, I pay for them every once in a while because when you're the champion at UFC, you have to fight the number one top guy. Okay, if you're not doing that, usually you're fighting one star, one champion in one weight division may fight another champion, a smaller, the weight division right above them or right below them. Usually in those certain cases, Conor got a few passes with the UFC, but outside of that, 98% of the time, the top fighter is fighting the next top fighter. The champion has continuously defend their title all the time. Even if they're coming off of a long injury or a break or some sort, they have to fight the best fighter. They have to. Okay? So I would rather pay for a UFC pay-per-view because normally the cards are stacked. Normally, not always. You pick and choose, just like we do with boxing. But with boxing, we're not normally getting that. And these fights coming up, that goes into my other point I want to make. When I look at these fights individually, right? Let's talk Wilder and Fury first. two top heavyweights, right? First of all, what's the problem with this pay-per-view is it has a shit undercard. Like the undercard is trash. So that's one reason why I don't want to buy it. Second reason is I'm not really sure on like what Tyson Fury is bringing to the table yet. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on him. I saw his two fights, his two comeback fights. This is a guy that is working his way back to his best self or the best version that we can. He may not ever be in his prime. He might have already passed his prime. I really don't know. But he looks good. He is losing the weight. But just because he's losing the weight, I'm not going to automatically think that Tyson Fury is back. I won't know if Tyson Fury is back. Those two fights that we've seen didn't prove that Tyson Fury is back to me. You know, he's still good. He's still very skillful. He's very talented. But I just don't know. I just don't know, you know. And based on his resume before that, it's very iffy still. You know, I know he beat Klitschko, and that was a huge win, and that made him the man. But that Klitschko, I think the Wilder coming in that night in December is a more dangerous opponent than Klitschko was that night. Because based on the way that Klitschko was fighting, Klitschko was down clearly on points every round, and he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't making any adjustments. He wasn't doing anything to try to change the pace of that fight. You know, he continued to hold and fight a safe fight all the way to a losing decision. I don't expect Wilder to fight that way. You know, Wilder does not fight like Klitschko. All right. So I think this is a better matchup or more dangerous matchup right now for Fury, especially because of the fact that Fury is not even at his best. Now, if Fury fought Wilder right after he fought Klitschko and then go crazy and retire, then that would have been a better matchup at that time. But right now, I don't think I should be using my money to pay for a Tyson Fury that I have no idea is going to show up or not. I have no idea what we're getting. I already know what Wilder brings to the table. I'm not sure what Tyson Fury is going to bring to the table, okay? So I'm not supporting that pay-per-view. I'm going to watch the fight somewhere, but I'm not going to buy the pay-per-view. You know, I have no problems with buying pay-per-views, but I'm not going to go to that fight and support that fight. I went to Wilder when he fought Luis Ortiz because that was a big fight for me. You know, for me, I really like Ortiz, and I was glad that Wilder really finally stepped up and fought someone that I wanted to see him face. So I went to the fight. But I'm not going to support this pay-per-view. I wouldn't go to this fight. I'm just not going to support it. When it comes to Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Broner, I'm just not supporting Adrian Broner. Point blank, period. I don't like him. I don't like him outside of the ring. So he's not selling me. I don't care what he says or what he does, what he records himself doing. I don't support that guy. He's not winning fights. He's getting into close fights with Adrian Granados in a fight that I thought was a draw. You know, he's not performing. He hasn't beat anyone relevant since he was at 135. He's not doing anything to me. You know, so I'm not going to support that man. In addition to that, I'm not supporting Manny Pacquiao fighting him. You want to go to the PBC side. Not saying that Manny Pacquiao has anything to prove, but guys like Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao just picking up fights when they choose to just fight random people. Listen, that's on you. If you want to get these money grabs, Floyd want to fake fight people from Japan that's kickboxers. If that's what you want to do, bro, that's cool. Doesn't mean that I have to support it. I'm not supporting Manny Pacquiao fighting Adrian Broner. Manny Pacquiao is way better than Adrian Broner. He's way better than Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner is known for what he does outside of the ring, and I'm not supporting that, okay? Manny Pacquiao, you're going to go over to PBC, I keep saying it wrong, PBC side. There's Errol there. There's Sean Porter there. There's Danny Garcia there. There's Keith Thurman there. There's a lot of fighters over there that are welterweights that are very good. Adrian Broner is not one of them. Adrian Broner is just good at running his mouth. I'm not supporting that fight, all right? Pacquiao, I know you're old. I know you don't have anything to prove, but you're still better than that. I'm not going to support that fight, all right? As far as Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, I don't know if this fight is going to be a pay-per-view, but if it is going to be a pay-per-view, I'm not supporting the fight because I already addressed this. I believe it to be a mismatch. I'm not going to get tricked by this, okay? Now, if Errol were to fight a Keith Thurman, a Terrence Crawford, then that's pay-per-view worthy, you know, as long as that the undercard is good or something. And even that, you can make the argument that it's still not. Neither one of those fights are still not pay-per-view because we got Keith Thurman against Danny Garcia and Sean Porter for free. Okay? So those are fighters, those are people that I'd rather see Errol Spence fight. I'd rather see him fight Crawford, Sean Porter, and Thurman over Mikey Garcia. Mikey, big supporter of Mikey Garcia. Not really mad at him in this situation because even though I said I'd rather see him fight Lomachenko, which is another fight that is more worthy of a pay-per-view, even if, you know, even though he's choosing to fight Errol Spence and not fight Lomachenko, he has more of a reason. First of all, the danger is more for him. Second of all, Lomachenko is already scheduled to fight someone, all right? Lomachenko is unifying against someone else already. So it's not like Mikey is going to wait for him, you know? He has a fight schedule. If he chooses to take Errol Spence while he's waiting around, cool. I don't really have a problem with Mikey. But I'm not into this just because they both have big names, they're undefeated. Mikey Garcia is not a welterweight. He has not done anything in the welterweight division. He fought one champion at 140, and he fought a champion that is not proven to be the best champion at 140. All right, a guy that is much smaller compared to Errol Spence, and no one considers Lipinets to be as good or skillful as Errol Spence. All right, in my opinion, this is a mismatch. Just like I thought Rigo and Lomachenko was a mismatch. They didn't sell me that fight. I knew it was a mismatch from jump. Okay, and we saw it in the fight. All right, both very talented fighters, but there's a reason why we have weight classes, and this is a mismatch to me. You know, if Mikey finds a way to pull off the fight, good for him, great for him. You know what? I'll probably be rooting for him just because of the fact that he's the underdog. You know, but me, honestly, I'm not going to support a pay-per-view for that. All right, Errol, he has a lot of work to do. As much as I know he wants to fight Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, as much as he wants that, he's not getting that right now. So he still has a lot to prove to me. And there's no reason why he should be getting a pay-per-view right now. Not even against Mikey Garcia. All right? If you get a pay-per-view, if you're going to force that, fight against a Thurman or Sean Porter or Terrence Crawford. Not against a guy from 135. Sorry. Not going to do it. And even at 140, Mikey looks blown up at 140. He looks blown up at 140. All right? He's not a big 140 pounder. You know, now everything is based off size, but the skill set, whether you think Mikey or Errol is better, is not that far off. Not in my opinion. All right? So I'm not supporting pay-per-views because we have DAZN, we got all these other streaming services where we're getting good fights. Why am I going to continue to beat a dead horse? Pay-per-views is dead. It is dying. At least it's dying. Why am I going to keep it afloat if I'm already paying for streaming services, paying $9.99 for a month to get great fights at times, and at least bare minimum, we're getting a fight every weekend. I'm getting World Boxing Super Series fights this weekend. I'm going to watch Usyk and Bellew. I believe that's going to be on DAZN. Why am I going to pay the pay-per-view for all those other three fights, which are inferior fights, in my opinion? All right? So let me know what you guys think.